Hello, you've tuned into The Love Nest with your favorite host, the Love Doctors, Alton and Nicckay Natson. Join us now as we discuss all things love in your family, faith, love life, and in your business.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey, this is The Love Nest. We're so excited about what God is going to do in this episode and how you're going to be everything that God has called you to be.
Yes, welcome to another episode of The Love Nest with the Love Doctors, Alton and Nicckay Natson. So we are excited to be here again today to talk to you all about kingdom marriages.
Yes, because kingdom marriages is important. A kingdom marriage is the kingdom way, it's the kingdom principle, it's the kingdom mindset. There are so many examples of what marriage the wrong way looks like. Right. But there are so many examples of the kingdom way. Listen, we want you to understand and know that kingdom marriage is not focused on sex. Kingdom marriage is focused on love. You have to understand and know that if you do not have your marriage based on love, it's probably not going to last. Now, we have to understand that kingdom marriage, man, it comes, and marriage just in general, it's God's way of kingdom and his expectation of how we're supposed to procreate the earth. It even goes back to Adam and Eve.
Right. That's absolutely right. When you're talking about the kingdom marriage. So what is this, when we talk about kingdom marriage, what does this kingdom marriage look like? So we're going to talk about what this looks like because there's not many examples. We see, celebrities that's got longevity, and people have longevity in their marriages. But when it comes down to them having longevity, that doesn't necessarily mean that the marriage is good or the marriage is great. So we're going to talk about what that looks like, and we're going to break that down for you all today. So let's talk a little bit about that, Dr. A. What is it? Let's talk a little bit about what does that look like?
Well, let's just be real. Let's begin to look at this thing for what it really is. Listen, marriage, in any type, whether it's kingdom marriage or it's a worldly marriage, you got to understand that it always comes in stages. Mm-hmm. Listen, when we go for the world instead of the word in marriage, man, we lose it. We miss it. There are so many times that the world's way of marriage puts sex before relationship. It puts sex before understanding. It puts sex before wisdom and knowledge and the knowing, the pneuma, the new life that God wants you to have in marriage. See, there are many of us that don't understand the word. The word said, now the two have what? Now become one. Listen, Kingdom marriage starts with the two becoming one. Meaning that, listen, if I'm going to be looking out for you, your best interest at heart, and you're going to be doing the same for me, my best interest at heart. And see, there are many of us that get into marriage and it's everyone for themselves. That we put ourselves in a place and position. Number one, the husband and the wife, listen, they're only husband and wife in title. They're not husband and wife in the reality, the activity, the actions of what it means to be married. But then listen, because you got that messed up, then you go into sex and you create another being in this earth. And now what ends up happening, because you're not getting what you need in the marriage, now you superimpose what you need onto your children. That's when you have mothers that are so doting to their sons and fathers that are over doting to their daughters. And literally what ends up happening is that everything becomes discombobulated. Listen, we got to understand this thing simply as this, is that kingdom marriage is important. Kingdom mindset is important. And that's what it starts with. So we got to look at this thing for what it really is. See, many of us start in marriage as it being sex-based. And we put, sex before everything. The world says sex. Sex sells, right or wrong?
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's true. It's true. It's because that's what they do. Everything they make it look like, okay, sex this, sex that. It's got to be appeasing. You got to show some parts. You got to do this in the entertainment industry. Come on. So that's what it is. It's sex that's selling. And that's the thing when it comes down to a marriage. If that's what your marriage is based off of, the foundation is already wrong. Yes. And the foundation has to be based on love. And because I know my grandmother, for example, when my grandmother got married, her marriage was arranged. You know, back in them days, they arranged it. They
yeah.
arranged it and then say later on you'll fall in love, right?
Come
or
on.
you'll begin
No.
to love the person, but it doesn't work like that. And then in today's time, this dispensation in time, that's a lot of what's going on. We're meeting people because we're tired. We want to be, you know, women. I want somebody to come. I'm waiting on my knight in shining armor to come sweep me up off of my feet. So because I'm tired, I'm gonna settle. And then because you settle, you don't settle. It's not a purpose partner, and it's not the foundation is not based upon the kingdom. And when you came together, when you got together, which is the foundation based on the kingdom, is love. Because what love keeps no record of wrong. You know, love is not easily angered, and love is not puffed up. When you basing, you know, your togetherness, your unit together as being in unison as one and walking together as one, because there's a whole lot of selfishness than selflessness, and you have to learn how to be selfless. And that's how, that if you really want to understand the secret to marriage, the secret to because we've been together, as a matter of fact, it came up. Was it yesterday, a couple of days ago, when we met, the first day we met, it was 29 years. 29 years to the day when we met. And we've been
when you met your tall glass of lemonade and I met my short glass of sweet tea. Listen, this is the thing, because it's important. We have to understand and know that relationship is important. So we're talking about the world's way, which is sex-based. But listen, this is the mindset many of us have. Many of us have, look, I looked at him and he saw me, and listen, I thought he was cute and she thought I was cute, and we decided to get together and do a hookup. But listen, I tell you right now, there's nothing good in the hookup. There's nothing good in the cook-up. Listen, you got to be in a place and position where you're not like Michael Jackson, where you're in the place and position that you knock me off of my feet now, babe. Come on now. We literally got to understand that God has a purpose and a plan. The woman is supposed to be found, and the man is supposed to find you. Listen, stop exposing yourselves like you know, many of these, they expose all of this flesh, and then when marriage comes, there's nothing that is left to the imagination. Listen, I'm a man, and at the end of the day, I'm a man's man. And listen, yes, I like to see my wife beautiful. I like to see my wife, you know, encompassing all of her beautifulness glory. But see, there are many of us that we have to understand that, listen, boys want to see flesh. Come on now. But men wants to see you. A man wants to see you in your glory. And that's many of us, that you give boys the release or the authority or the privilege of what that man or that husband is supposed to be for you. So at the end of the day, young ladies, you got to understand this. Young ladies, keep yourself. Young men, honor that lady that you said that you want to get to know. Get to know her first. Get to understand who she is. No more than a name, no more than a birthday. Begin to learn what she likes and what she loves. And at the end of the day, all of those things, then it won't be a sex that you're making or sex that you're having, but it'll be what God has always intended, which is making love. And you got to understand, that's where the unity, that's where the union comes at, and it can only come properly in marriage. Now, we talked about stages. And stages are important because we understand that, listen, there's this wide open phase after you meet a person. There's a wide open phase. We wilding out. We having our best life. We living la vida loca. You got to understand and know, listen, that only lasts for a very short period of time. It's that la vida loca phase, right?
Right. Especially if, like I said, if the foundation, when you came in and the foundation was not right and the foundation was not laid. And that's why it's got to be based on, when we say kingdom, the way we do this thing. Okay, I lay down my life for your life. You know, when we talk about kingdom, when we understand, when I say I'm going to be a help me, I'm really a help me. I'm not, because I'm a wise woman. I know how to build my house up and not tear my household down. And some women don't know, understand how to do that. When you say come together and it's a kingdom marriage, when we really talking about walking as one and being in unity together. Amos 3:3, how can two walk as one unless they come together in an agreement? And there's got to be an agreement somewhere. And when you talking about a kingdom marriage, and understanding when you coming together, understanding the finances, understanding what's coming, the input and the output. You understand what I'm saying? In the house, you understand?
That's strategic.
Yes.
You said the input and the output. So that's input of love.
Right.
It's input of honor.
Right.
Input of respect.
Right.
Input of God's glory. That you may get what? The output of what? The kingdom.
Right. So you got to understand, because and where this all takes place at, the center of it is from the heart. You understand what I'm saying?
Many of us have heart issues.
It's the driving force when you're the CEO of your own, you understand, of your own empire that you're building, you know, and the heart is the center, the circumference of how all this is going to be managed and how all this is going to work when it comes to the output and it comes to the input. It's the heart, the flow of the heart, because out of the abundance of the heart flows the issues of life. So that we have to understand when it comes down to a kingdom marriage and understanding the way this works, the input, not only the input and output of love, but understanding the whole arena of the home, the whole thing when it comes into, because I'm not going, I'm not going to knock you. You understand what I'm saying? If I know that there's a dream, there's something on the inside of you, there's a gift on the inside of you, and that gift is being cultivated, that gift is working, that gift is in operation, I'm going to encourage you in your gift. But not only I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna learn to study. Yes, I'm gonna encourage you. I'm gonna learn to study, and I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna say, okay, this is the Holy Spirit flowing through my husband. Okay, that's my husband's flesh in operation. You understand? But then, because I'm not a contentious woman, and I don't want my husband to be on the rooftop in the corner somewhere. You understand what I'm saying? Because I understand.
Believe me, I've been there. A cantankerous woman is something else.
So it's a process. So it's a process.
So you just didn't fall out your grandmother's womb that way, right?
No.
It was a process, a learned process.
Yes, of putting my flesh to death. You understand what I'm saying? Learning how to be selfless and not selfish. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it is, putting somebody else before you. That's the daily death walk that I walk on a daily basis. I put my husband before myself. You understand? Now, so that's the thing. So that's the thing. And when it comes down to it,
good.
And understand when we come together, we understand the input, the input of the finances coming in, the output of the finances going out. You understand what I'm saying? We get together, we talk. When there's decisions that need to be made, we talk about it, we discuss that. So there won't be no division, no dissension. You understand? That's how we operate in kingdom. That's how we keep our kingdom, the kingdom of light, from falling. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the thing that we have to begin to understand when you talk about operating in kingdom, because what they do is this is two kingdoms, and they divide it and they clashing against one another instead of the kingdom coming together being one unit or one family unit coming together and us working this thing out. Let's coming together, even if we disagree. The word of God says, come let us reason together. To put your gift down. You understand? It works even in the marriage, because you still my brother. I'm still your sister. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let me put my gift down.
You my sister with benefits. Come on.
Let us reason.
I'm your brother with benefits.
Yes. Let's come let us reason. Let us reason together. You understand? Come let us reason together. If there's a disagreement, you understand? There's been a long time since we got in an argument, an actual argument. You know what I'm saying?
We haven't been in an argument in a long time.
I know, we call them intense moments of fellowship. Whenever we do come together, there's an intense moment of fellowship.
Yes.
The intensity of that thing. You understand what I'm saying? But we know how to come together, talk and work it out. You understand? And walk together. So we understand how to do that. And that's the way you have to be when it comes down to when you say I'm married. And that's why most people, they look for a wedding and not a marriage. You understand what I'm saying? When they take the journey to the altar and they don't stay married long, because when they came into it, it wasn't a covenant, it was a contract. That's why we got to understand when we talk about kingdom, it has to be kingdom in everything. A kingdom mindset. Your heart posture has to be right, because even when you come into a marriage and your heart posture is off and is wrong, you nothing is going to go right in your marriage. Even you bring children into the picture, there'll be chaos that's birthed. It'll be destruction that's birthed, instead of it being the fruit of the Spirit operating in and through your marriage.
Wow. And this is instrumental because, see, listen, we're trying to help each of you all understand the difference between the kingdom and the world's way of marriage. Listen, young ladies, listen, it's been prescribed, it's been told, it helps us to understand this about a woman that's loose. Even the Bible says it. But listen, the Natson paraphrase version literally puts it in a song, and it literally says, "Is there holes in the house? Is there holes in the house?"
My.
Listen, don't act like a hoe. You cannot make a hoe into what? A housewife. Listen, if you are a hoish woman or even a hoish man, because listen, men can be man whores. Men can be prostituting themselves out as well. But listen, you have to understand and know that, listen, no hoe will make it into the kingdom, whether it's a male or female. So stop acting like it. Now listen, we said the world's way is sex-based. We said that, listen, I like what I like. I love what I see. And listen, 10 times out of 10, the beginning of a relationship starts with what you see. Come on now. But listen, your sight, if it's not guarded, will get you in trouble. Because sometimes your eyes can't see what your heart knows to be right. And a lot of the times we'll push past our heart to get to what we see. But listen, so you go from that phase of I looked at him and she looked at me, and it's the eyes connected and you cruising, your eyes connect and you're cruising like Smokey Robinson and all of those different things. But listen, you have to understand that you secondly have a wide open phase where you're completely wilding out. But the third, listen, this is the traumatic phase. Many people go through a traumatic phase when the foundation is not set right. Listen, that traumatic phase is he's crazy and she's crazy. What did I get myself into? Mama told me from the beginning that she wasn't the one, or he wasn't the one. Mama told me about his people. Mama and daddy told me about his ways and how his daddy was and how his mama was and how her mama was and how her father was. Listen, then we get to bickering and we be getting to fighting, and then all of these different things. We haven't even made it to marriage yet. We're going back and forth, one against the other, and we have a mindset. What the world says, listen, once you get married, then no matter what, you stay together. But listen, God says, listen, get it right. Don't marry wrong.
And see the church.
Come on now.
This is the thing. This thing is the church got it so messed up. You understand? Because when it comes down to the church and them understanding even kingdom, that's why you see such a distinction between church and kingdom, and it's separating. This being separate. You know who's kingdom and who's in the part of the church. You understand?
And then who's a part of the world, because there's a third phase.
Right. And then they don't teach you. The church doesn't teach you these things. When you come together, this is how the kingdom. When it comes to the marriage, this is the kingdom of a marriage. And when they come together, they really don't understand. And really, sometimes when you get married and the foundation is not there and you don't have no understanding, because the word tells us that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because we don't have the knowledge and the understanding. And that's why it needs to be taught in the church, really taught in the church. Yes, we understand that you want to keep yourself as a single man, as a single woman. Yeah, we understand that, but it goes beyond that. You understand? It goes beyond that, and it needs to be deeper teachings when it's coming from the church, and when it's coming from, it's supposed to be the kingdom things being taught, but it's not really being taught. So when you coming together and you don't have that foundation, and that foundation is not laid there, you'll be together 5 years and you marry, but you really not married. You understand what I'm saying? You don't start experiencing being married. Some people into 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, then they really experience, okay, this is what really marriage looks like. This is what marriage is supposed to be. This is what it feels like for me to be loved. Because some of us, we don't understand, because we've been through a phase of rejection. We've been through places where we got wounded and we don't understand. And when love comes along, we reject it and we don't know what love looks like. So we're living in a generation where there's repeated cycles, where cycles are not being broken. And then we come into a marriage, the cycle continues to be birthed out of us, because women, as a womb, we're carriers. We birth things, and whatever we're carrying, we birth that out in our business. We birth that out in our ministry. We birth that out in our marriage. We birth that out in our children. So that's why we got to be careful as what we're carrying, the thing that we're carrying. So whatever we're carrying, we have to make sure it's whole. It's not in a place where it's broken. It's not in a place where it's weak. You understand? Because when you even when your children get older and they become teenagers, whatever was broken in you, that thing they gonna act that out because that's what was birthed, the seed that was planted that's gonna be birthed. So that's why we have to understand. I wish I really can get into this thing like I want to get into it, but because I feel glory, I feel His glory coming up on me.
You always feel glory. Every time you open your mouth, you feel the glory of God.
My God.
Listen, this is the thing. So many of us, you talked about this birthing process. See, listen, I'm a man. I don't know. I'm 100% man. I don't know what it means to birth a baby. I don't know what it feels like to have the birthing pains. But listen, you got to understand that there's a depth to it, because you have to understand that there are some women that are out there, and even some men, they say they're pregnant with purpose. They're pregnant with, getting ready to walk into their destiny, their marriage.
But can you birth your marriage? Can you birth purpose in your marriage? Can you birth, understand? Can you, when you operating from out of a place because you didn't go through obscurity, you didn't understand. So when you didn't go through the process and you wasn't processed, so can you birth love out of your marriage? Can you move past the pain that you experienced in your life, and can you birth that man? Can you birth the king out of him? Can you birth the priest out of him? What are you carrying? What are you carrying? My God, what are you carrying? To be able to birth out of your own marriage, to be able to birth this thing. I gotta put my flesh to death. Let me birth purpose out of my flesh. Let me birth purpose in my marriage. Let me birth purpose out of my children. Let me birth purpose in my finances. What are you carrying that you can birth? What is the purpose of you being here on the earth? For purpose. What are you purpose for? Woo, my God.
We're just going to pass the plate,
my God.
You're going into church. Listen, you got to understand how God is shifting, how God is moving, how God is delivering you out of that place of the world and moving you and transitioning you into a word marriage, a kingdom marriage. Because see, this is what we're trying to help you get to. Now listen, this is the thing that we have to understand, that 9 times out of 10, the next phase for the worldly marriage is that you get to a place that you just don't care. Come on now. You just don't care. And you're at the end of your rope and you at wit's end. And when you get to this phase, this is the depth of the marriage. Because a lot of the times what ends up happening when the woman is sick and tired of being sick and tired, listen, or the man is tired of being sick and tired, it's a wrap, baby. And it ends up in a divorce is what it ends up in. Now listen, this is the thing. You got to understand and know God's importance in His plan. That's why we have to do it the right way. So you young women and you young men and middle-aged, or even those ones that are desiring to be married but haven't been married yet, or those ones that want to be remarried, look for it the right way, in the kingdom way of marriage. Listen, the kingdom way of marriage starts with God sent. That they have to be God sent. You have to pray for them, and then listen, you got to let God, men, you got to find your woman. Woman, you got to be found. Come on now. Your wife has to be found. You got to find your wife. And we talk about it in previous episodes, but listen, when you are found and the man prayed for you and you prayed for each other and you both were God sent. We talk about it in our, partner. A purpose partner. We talk about it in our lives. I prayed for my queen. And listen, God sent her. Was she that queen that I was to die for? Do we have a worldly marriage at the beginning? Yes, we did. And listen, there were many a times that we missed it. But man, we stayed in it. We stuck and we stayed. But listen, after the God-sent relationship, then comes the honeymoon phase in the kingdom marriage. There is no honeymoon phase in the worldly marriage, but it's a honeymoon phase in the kingdom marriage. And then thirdly, you understand and know that you're in a place and position in the kingdom marriage. I didn't know that you were that crazy. I didn't know that you were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. At the end of the day, not necessarily saying you, but being able to understand, because you never were. She was always my rider. But listen, you come to that place and position, and listen, I can be quirky. My queen could be, a little weird sometimes, but at the end of the day, we know how to handle each other. We know how to encourage each other and not discourage each other, right?
Right. And that's why I say that's why you gotta be processed, because like when I married you, I took your last name. Your last name is Natson. So when I took your last name, whatever demons that come with that, I married into that. Yeah.
There weren't any.
Right. Okay. So we gotta understand.
I've been washed as white as snow.
Now you've been healed, delivered, and set free. But in the beginning,
come on.
In the beginning, if you tell the truth about
what you talking about, the alpha anointing, right?
Yeah,
the beginning
of the thing, because you gotta finish strong. You gotta finish well and have not only the alpha but the omega anointing too, to be able to finish it. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the thing. Whatever.
You said the Natson last name.
Yeah, I took on the Natson last name. I took on the, and I'm proud to carry the Natson last name. But that's why we gotta understand. Whatever you taking on, that's why you gotta be built for it. You gotta be processed. You understand what I'm saying? And then even the same thing with you. Whatever whatever demons and stuff that was throughout my bloodline.
We talking about Jordan. Now listen, we ain't talking about the Michael Jordan of championships. We talking about, listen, it was some stuff,
Right.
And at the end of the day, I sit up here and I look at it.
We gotta be able to handle it. We gotta be able to come together to pray, to break generational curses so the cycles can be broken, so it can be a kingdom marriage. That's the reason why we have to understand the foundation. The foundation has to be there. The foundation has to be laid, and you cannot just settle for anything, because I'm telling you, if you're not with a purpose partner, cycles will never be broken. It will not be broken, because somebody will not stand. You don't have the person that you married to. And just imagine, we got so many women that's here on this earth that's married, but they're miserable.
Come on.
You understand? These men are miserable because it's not a purpose and it's not marriage. So we have to understand, you can marry wrong. Yes. And that's why we want to get it right the first time. So we won't keep going through and after cycle, and you being married 2 and 3 times and 4 times. Come on now.
Let's get it together.
We got to get it together now.
Let's get it the kingdom way. So we look and we understand. We said, number one, listen, your marriage, if you want the kingdom marriage, listen, that person, that purpose partner has to be God sent. You got to pray for him. And you got to know that God is hiding you, that you will be found. Then secondly, you're going to go through that honeymoon phase. Man, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. Listen, you're going to get crunk for Jesus in your honeymoon phase. But then thirdly, you're going to realize that, listen, this person is not perfect. Come on now. You're going to understand that they're problematic. You're going to understand that, listen, yes, they are your purpose partner, but they still have issues.
Right. And that's why
Come on now.
For it. You're able to handle it. You go through the process together. And then you grow in your marriage together. You grow in it together.
And you get better.
Yes.
And then thirdly, you got to understand. Fourthly, you got to understand, after you come out of the crazy phase, you go back into that honeymoon phase, because you begin to understand each other. You begin to know each other. You begin to understand their quirkiness ways and the things that are challenging. And then fourth, you shift into overdrive and you go into your grind phase. Come on now. Now it's about kingdom marriage. Listen, this is my rider. Listen, my queen and I are Bonnie and Clyde 7.0. Come on now.
We graduated.
We don't graduate?
9.0.
9.0. Next episode will be Bonnie and Clyde 10.0 for the kingdom, baby. Come on now. You got to understand and know, during the grind phase, you're getting through it and you're becoming who God has called you to be in, over, and through this marriage. This is when you begin to birth other kingdom marriages outside of your marriage. And you just loving to your spouse. You're just showing the best you that you possibly can be. Now listen, my name is Dr. Alton Natson. This is my beautiful queen,
Dr. Nicckay Natson.
We are the Love Doctors, and we thank you for joining us for another episode of The Love Nest. Listen, if you would like to join us and be a part, please join us and go to our website at
www.theluvnest.org.
Because it's awesome. Marriages are awesome. Kingdom marriages are amazing. And as we are able to be everything that God has called us to be, listen, your marriage is going to be great. Hey, know that we love you and we thank God for you.
Yeah, peace.
This broadcast has been brought to you by the leading of the Holy Spirit as we stand on 1 Corinthians 13:13. Now abides faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of all these is love. Love is more important than faith and hope. Without love, none of this would work. For broadcast sponsorships, prayer requests, or to be a guest on the program, call 470-588-2872. Connect with us on our website at www.thelovenest, love spelled LUV.org, or write us and send us your contributions to Zelle at Alton and Nicckay Natson Global at gmail.com or Cash App $ANNGINC. Until next